Have you ever felt like you're never truly appreciated? The people you care about never seem to put you first, no matter how much love and dedication you show them. The truth is, if you don't respect yourself, others won't either. But did you know that there's a way to change this dramatically just by following a few simple Stoic rules? So how can you become the person everyone wants in their life? That's the answer we're going to reveal in this video. Today on Wisdom Daily, we're going to dive into 10 Stoic rules that can transform your life, helping you not only respect yourself, but also make others prioritize you. Stay tuned to discover how these rules can help you become the best version of yourself. Rule 1. Don't reveal everything. Have you ever felt like the people around you don't really know you, even though you try so hard to show them who you are? We often think that the more we share about ourselves, the more others will understand and appreciate us. But the truth is, it's not always that simple. Mystery is a powerful tool. When you leave something undisclosed, you create natural curiosity in others. This doesn't mean you have to hide everything about your life, but reveal it gradually. Let others discover you, just like reading a book where each chapter reveals more of the story. Imagine you're talking to someone you just met. If you start by sharing everything about yourself, the successes, failures, and all you've done in your life, they might feel overwhelmed or lose interest. But if you share just a little, like an interesting story, and let the other person ask more questions, you will make them curious, wanting to know more about you. This creates a deeper connection and makes you more intriguing in their eyes. This concept doesn't just apply to personal relationships. It can also be applied in work or social connections. You may notice that people you admire often don't reveal everything about themselves right away. It's this mystery that makes them someone you want to learn more about, someone you want to connect with. Remember, mystery is part of the art of making others feel like you're a valuable piece in their life. When you're not immediately figured out, you create a space that makes others work to understand you, and that's what draws them in. Never forget that sometimes less is more. When you reveal yourself slowly and don't make everything too obvious right from the start, you become someone others can't take their eyes off. This is how you create attraction and keep others wanting to know more about you. So, how can you keep some mystery in your life without becoming too distant? We'll explore that in the next rule. Rule 2. Create a fear of losing. Have you ever felt like others don't truly appreciate you until you're no longer around? In fact, one of the key elements in any relationship is making yourself indispensable. And this isn't about arrogance or showing off. It's about independence and self-sufficiency in your own life. Independence is power. When you live a fulfilling, self-sufficient life, others will realize that you don't need them to feel complete. Imagine a relationship where you're not the one constantly chasing the other person, but instead, you're an independent individual with your own life, always growing and evolving. That's the kind of attraction, the kind of magnetism that not everyone possesses. Think of the people in your life who you consider successful. They lead independent lives and are less reliant on others. They aren't just the people you can rely on, but they're also the ones who are never lacking in independence. A simple example is in friendships. Independent people who can happily do what they love without needing others' approval are often the ones others value most and don't want to lose. Creating a fear of losing you doesn't mean you have to put pressure on others or make them feel like you're unreachable. In fact, it means showing that you have your own worth and that you can live a happy, fulfilling life without needing anyone else. When you truly respect yourself and your life, others will naturally feel the value of that and will work harder to keep you in their lives. Independence and self-sufficiency not only give you freedom, but they also create a powerful magnetism in your relationships. When you become someone indispensable, others will naturally want to keep you around. So how can you become someone everyone wants to keep in their life? We'll explore that in the next rule. Rule 3. Create your own happiness. Have you ever felt like you're only happy when others are around? This is a very common feeling in relationships. But did you know that if you don't find joy within yourself, you will always feel incomplete? Happiness starts from within. Finding joy in your own life, rather than depending on others, is one of the key principles of Stoicism. When you can create joy from what you do and experience, you no longer rely on others to feel happy. This doesn't mean you shouldn't connect with others, but rather that you need to have self-sufficiency in creating your own joy. Think of the people you admire. They often live very independent and happy lives. You've likely seen people who pursue their passions, travel alone, or simply spend time on personal hobbies without needing others. These people don't need the approval or company of others to enjoy life. They create joy from small things like reading, walking, or learning a new skill. And it's this independence that makes them more attractive and captivating. So why do we depend on others for happiness? The answer is quite simple. When you depend on others' approval or presence to feel happy, you're allowing them to control your emotions. But the truth is, your happiness is entirely in your hands. What's important is learning how to nurture joy from within, from the hobbies and things you do for yourself. Happiness isn't something you find in others, it's something you create. When you take control of your emotions and satisfaction within yourself, you become stronger and more attractive. So how can you create joy in your own life? We'll explore more in the next rule. Rule 4. Let them invest in. Have you ever noticed that the things that come easily are often not valued as much? Friendship, love, and any kind of relationship are the same. When we make it too easy for others to access and have, they don't value it as much. So how do you become someone that others genuinely want to keep and invest in? Become someone valuable. When you become someone that others truly find valuable, they will be willing to invest their emotions in you. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or always available to serve others, but rather you need to show that you're worth being loved, respected, and worth the time and effort. Think about the relationships you've had, whether in your personal life or work. The people you value and invest time in maintaining those relationships with are often not the ones who are always there immediately. They have their own goals, interests, and lives that don't depend on your presence. It's this independence and ability to live a full life that makes you feel like they are worth investing in, and in turn, you are willing to put effort into maintaining the relationship. So why is letting others invest in you so important? Simply put, when others spend time and effort to keep you in their lives, they will appreciate you more and genuinely want to sustain that relationship. You're not someone who can be easily had, and this creates respect and value in the relationship. Letting others invest in you is one of the most powerful ways to build lasting, valuable relationships. When you become someone who is worth the effort and not easily attained, you create a strong attraction. So, how can you become someone others genuinely want to invest in? We'll explore that in the next rule. Rule 5. Don't make yourself the center of someone else's life. Have you ever felt like you're always the one adjusting your life to fit someone else's? You might have thought that the only way to make a relationship last is by being the center of someone's life. But the truth is, when your entire life revolves around one person, you begin to lose touch with yourself. Independence is the key. If you focus all your time and energy on one person, you gradually lose your identity and personal dreams. The relationship becomes unbalanced, and you might feel like you only exist for them instead of for yourself. This is why one of the most important principles in Stoic philosophy is to maintain independence in your life. You might notice that people who live independently and don't depend on others to feel complete are often the most attractive. They have their own interests, goals, and they don't let relationships take over their lives. A simple example is in romantic relationships. When you love and respect yourself, you can love and respect others without making them the center of everything. When you have your own life, you not only become more attractive, but also make it easier to maintain a lasting and healthy relationship. Why is independence so important? Simply because when you maintain your own life, you never feel like you have to sacrifice too much to keep the relationship. You can love someone else while still keeping your personal goals and dreams intact. You won't feel like you're losing yourself or becoming dependent on them. Independence fosters mutual respect, and that's the foundation of a long-lasting relationship. Don't let your life revolve around one person. Keep a space for yourself, a life that's full and fulfilling, so that when you enter a relationship, you do so as a strong, independent individual. That's how relationships become truly lasting and happy. So how can you maintain independence in your relationships? We'll explore that in the next rule. Rule 6. Prioritize your own needs. You ever felt like you always have to put others before yourself? Maybe you're someone who easily sacrifices to please others, even forgetting your own needs. But did you know that this not only leaves you exhausted, but also causes you to lose yourself in your relationships? Putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's a way to protect your own value and respect for yourself. When you don't prioritize your own needs, you allow others to treat you poorly and at times even take advantage of your kindness. That's why one of the most important principles in Stoicism is learning how to love and respect yourself first. Imagine being in a relationship where you always give way, doing everything for the other person without ever thinking about your own needs. You start feeling exhausted, disappointed, and eventually lose your sense of self-worth. When you don't prioritize your own needs, not only do you hurt yourself, but you also create an imbalanced relationship. Eventually, the other person may not appreciate you the way you hope. So why do we easily accept poor treatment? The simple answer might be because we're afraid of disappointing others, being lonely, or not being loved. But the truth is, you can't love others if you don't love yourself first. If you don't know how to protect yourself and your own needs, you won't be able to create a healthy and lasting relationship. Putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. When you prioritize your own needs, you'll feel freer and happier, and you'll create stronger and healthier relationships. So, how can you start putting yourself first without feeling guilty? We'll continue exploring that in the next rule. Rule 7. Don't always be available. Have you ever felt like you're always ready to help others? Always there when they need you, even when it drains you? You might think that being constantly available for others is necessary to maintain relationships. But is it really good for you? Time is our most valuable asset. When you spend all your time helping others, you might forget to take care of yourself. We often feel like we need to always be available to prove our importance to others. But in reality, this just makes you easy to access and less valuable over time. Being constantly available not only exhausts you, but also makes others take you for granted, diminishing your uniqueness. Imagine a friend who is always ready to help, no matter how small the task. At first, people may feel grateful and appreciate you, but over time, they will begin to see you as something they can always count on. You're no longer special, just a resource they can use. On the other hand, when you value your time and sometimes say no, you make others respect you more. When you're not always there, they realize you're an important and necessary part of their life. So why is it important to not always be available? The answer is simple. You have your own life. If you're always available for others, you won't have time to pursue your own goals and passions. Your life will become dull and lacking excitement. But when you learn to value your own time and not always be there for others, you create space for personal growth and healthier relationships. Don't always be available for others. Value your own time and make your presence special. When you're not constantly ready to be there, you make others put in more effort to get your attention, which strengthens and sustains the relationship. So how can you start respecting your own time and not always be available for others? We'll explore that in the next rule. Rule 8. Don't always start the conversation. Have you ever noticed that you're always the one to start the conversation? In a relationship. You might think that if you don't take the first step, the relationship won't go anywhere. But in reality, sometimes this isn't the best way to build a lasting connection. Letting the other person take the lead in a relationship is a way to create mutual respect. When you're always the one starting the conversation, you may unintentionally make the other person feel forced or lack initiative. This can make the relationship feel unbalanced, and over time, you might feel exhausted from always maintaining the connection. In fact, by allowing the other person to take the lead, you give them the space to show their interest, and it helps them feel respected. Think about a situation in your work or friendships. If you're always the one texting first, calling first, the other person might start feeling like you're the one leading the relationship. On the other hand, if you let them take the initiative, they'll have to show their interest and effort to keep in touch with you. This not only makes the relationship more balanced, but also makes the other person feel more respected. Why is it important to let the other person take the lead? The simple answer is, relationships need balance. You don't always have to be the one taking the first step in everything. When you allow the other person to take the initiative, you're also creating space for them to express their care and feelings. This helps make the relationship stronger and longer lasting, because both parties contribute to maintaining the bond. Don't always be the one to start the conversation. Let the other person take the lead so they can feel your respect and interest. The relationship will become more balanced, and both of you will feel valued. So, how can you create the space for the other person to take initiative without losing the connection? We'll explore that in the next rule. Rule 9. Don't be too emotionally attached. In relationships, emotions are important, but if you become too attached to them, it can lead to imbalance and stress. Have you ever felt like you're so emotionally invested in a relationship that you can't separate your feelings from the other person? Sometimes, it's the intense emotions that complicate the relationship more than they connect it. Maintaining emotional balance is key. When you let emotions control you completely, you can easily become overly dependent on the other person or the relationship itself. This creates tension and can make you feel insecure. In Stoic philosophy, maintaining calm and not letting emotions dictate your actions is one of the fundamental principles. When you stay calm, you can make wiser decisions and maintain respect for yourself and your boundaries. Think about a time when you were too emotionally attached to a relationship. Maybe you found yourself anxious and unable to focus on anything else because you were always thinking about the other person. Every action they took had a strong impact on your emotions, and you couldn't maintain your independence and self-control. However, when you learn to manage your emotions, you realize that the relationship won't disappear if you keep your balance. You can still love and care, but without letting emotions control every decision you make. Why is it important to not let emotions dominate?
The answer is clear. When you let emotions control everything, you easily slip into stress and can't maintain a healthy relationship. Emotional balance helps you maintain self-control, making the relationship more stable and less affected by
fluctuating feelings. Don't let emotions control every decision in your relationship. Keep your balance so that emotions don't overshadow your rationality and independence. When you do this, you'll find that relationships become more stable and stronger. So how can you control your emotions and maintain balance in your relationships? We'll explore that in the next rule. Rule 10. Be willing to walk away. If you're not being respected in any relationship, mutual respect is essential for its sustainability and growth. But sometimes, we unintentionally find ourselves in relationships where respect is no longer present, and instead of feeling valued, we feel hurt or neglected. So, how do you know when it's time to walk away from a relationship? Knowing when to walk away is an important skill. It's not about acting impulsively or suddenly, but rather recognizing that you deserve a relationship where you're loved and respected. Sometimes, staying in a relationship where respect is absent is actually harming yourself. Stoicism teaches us that our self-worth should not depend on others, and when a relationship no longer brings respect and value, we have the right to walk away. Think of a romantic or professional relationship where you've been putting in the effort, but the other person does not respect or value your contributions. You may endure this, but over time, This lack of respect will erode your trust and make you feel insignificant in their eyes. If you don't choose to walk away, you'll continue to harm yourself and lose your self-respect. On the other hand, walking away gives you the space to build healthier relationships where you are truly valued and respected. Why is knowing when to walk away so important? The answer is simple. If you don't protect yourself and recognize when it's time to leave, you'll easily get stuck in relationships that don't offer real value. Relationships should be about sharing, respect, and supporting each other, not about feeling neglected or unimportant. Being willing to walk away when you're no longer being respected is a way to protect your self-worth. Don't settle for relationships that lack respect, and don't be afraid to walk away when necessary. When you have the courage to leave relationships that don't bring value, you open the door for healthier, longer-lasting connections. So how do you recognize when it's time to walk away? Today we've explored 10 Stoic rules that can help you build stronger, healthier relationships. From cultivating mystery to spark curiosity, to knowing when to walk away to protect your self-worth. Each rule offers powerful lessons on how to live with independence, emotional strength, and mutual respect. Always remember this: independence and self-respect are the foundation of becoming someone others value deeply. Never lose yourself in a relationship, and never forget, you deserve to be loved and respected exactly as you are. If you found this video helpful and want to continue learning timeless life lessons through Stoic wisdom, don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom Daily and share this video with those who need it. We'd love to hear from you. Which of these Stoic rules have you already applied in your own life? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and remember, Wisdom Daily is here to help you live a better, stronger, more intentional life every single day. Keep walking the path with us.